You used to say more. Now you see there's no point. You always used to explain yourself. You used to help people to try and see the truth of the way you moved, the way you lived your life. You weren't always right. Sometimes you knew that, okay, maybe this other person has a point. So we'll discuss, we'll debate, and if my point is stronger, they'll concede, and if they're able to bring something new and beneficial to my attention, then I might have to concede their point, and we'll both be better off for this discussion. We'll both be better off for analyzing what's happening here and coming to a better outcome. And it happened so many times that this is not what occurred. You would bring something up with people, and you would come to the table with a kind of excitement because you saw it as an opportunity for betterment. You saw it as an opportunity for expansion. If you see a wrinkle, if you see a problem, then you realize that that's a value in itself. You know that a lot of the time things are not going quite how they should, but we can't quite get to the root of the problem. We can't quite see what the cause is. So every time that you would come across what you identified as the origin point, you would feel excited, you would feel happy. You would see that there's potential here. And that if you could but work with the other person to unpack this, then that potential for growth, improvement, expansion, and a better outcome was available to you both. But your own experience of this was different. Most of the time, people didn't want to know. Most of the time, people just looked at you with a sour face. Most of the time, people looked like you were attacking them. And this confused you. At first, you had no idea about this. All you knew was that you were getting negative feedback. And oftentimes, it wasn't explained to you. You had to figure this out yourself. It was all body language. It was avoidance, which made no sense to you in light of your own value system and in light of the value system that people around you said that they bought into, that they wanted to grow and improve and expand. Gradually, you found that this just wasn't the case. That was just a very attractive narrative, very beneficial costume that they wore to look good in front of you and in front of other people that they wanted to impress. But it had next to no attachment to reality and to the way they actually operated in the world. You eventually figured this out. You eventually saw that their words and their actions in no wise matched. That they were feeding into the problem, had no interest in adjusting and changing so things could improve, because that would mean that they would have to stop getting the benefit of what they were doing by feeding into the problem. They would have to change their way of doing things, and they didn't want to change. They were pleased with the outcomes they were getting, but then you realize the outcomes they were getting were detrimental to you and beneficial to them, and yet they had convinced you that they wanted change, they wanted improvement, expansion, so that there would be a better outcome for you both. Once you saw the truth of it, once you saw that they had sold you a narrative that benefited them while secretly siphoning from you, you were never the same again. But now you had seen it, you could never unsee it. And all the words you used to say that you thought were for the betterment of you and them and people in general, you stopped saying because you saw the audience was wrong and it was having no effect, nothing beneficial for you, and no effect that they wanted anyway. You used to say more, but now you see it's pointless. You just separate yourself from these people, and that is the right way to respond.